Hello and welcome to season 3 of Giving Them Something to Talk About. I'm your host, T. Jane, and today I have a longtime friend who I haven't spoken to in it's been a while. But we've seen each other on Facebook and those things. But I have her. She is a phenomenal woman, not just a phenomenal woman. She's a doctor. She is a businesswoman and she is a woman of God. I would like to introduce to you Dr. Lisa Yvette Jones. Lisa,
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you so much, Tanya. This is a joy. I was so excited when you thought enough to ask me to be on your show and to share my testimony and my story with your audience. Thank you so very much. It is truly a pleasure. But regardless as to how long we have may not have spoken or we see each other through our social media accounts, we know that the minute we get together, it is just immediate connection and we just get caught up and we can spend hours with each other. So thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you. It is my high honor to have you as my guest. You have such an awesome testimony, so we definitely don't want to belabor the time. We want to get right into it. Lisa, you are doing such a great work in this earth, and I am so honored to have you here. So you spent over 30 years in the federal sector, which is where we met.
Yes.
What was the moment you realized leadership and caring weren't separate things, but they had to work together?
I realized that when I look at people every single day, and when I started, the minister in me, okay, would come out in certain situations. And that's when I realized that I'm on assignment. Every position I have had, I realized then that, Lord, these are assignments because I couldn't turn off who I was in Him
Mm.
do the job. Okay. They had to accept my posse with me, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
All
So
right.
walk in the door. I'm walking in the door with a group. You don't see my group. Well, you will see them through me. And
Yes.
and I realized when people would come to work and their situations, they can't always leave everything at the door. And people say, well, it's so unprofessional. It is not. It is being human. And
Mm.
that realized, and I started reading stories on transformational leadership and started doing more studies on servant leadership. And I said, well, what is this all about? And then I said, it's exactly who Jesus was. He was
Yes.
a servant leader. He
Yeah.
can serve and not to be served. And I then realized, but it did not mean we will compromise expectations. It
Mm.
didn't mean we will compromise excellence.
Mm.
Not, it means that in addition to being excellent, in addition to you being confident and competent, we can have compassionate caring in the
That's
workplace.
right.
We can absolutely have that. And then I realized, Tanya, when people know that you care about them, then they care about doing everything you ask of them.
That's good.
That influence comes in as well.
That's good. You have always been a leader. I mean, it would just come forward out of you
Yeah.
always when I would be in your presence. You have the title. What does the name Chief Caring Officer mean to you, and why was it important to create that title for yourself?
You know what? So many people have, chief operating officer, chief this. I wanted people to know, well, I'm the chief caring officer. I'm going to lead by example in caring and showing compassionate caring. One thing I do believe that we have to transform and humanize the employment experience, head, hands, and heart.
Mm.
I realized that this is the catalyst for making sure that when people come to work, they don't lose themselves. It's not just about performance. It's not just about the performance, but it is about passionate caring for people. You really have to, and didn't our example do that? Jesus did it.
You
He
did.
had caring on everyone. So I
Yes.
realized that what was coming through me is because of who was in me.
Mm.
So for eye care leadership, I had to, so I was at a conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I go to conferences, Tanya, I will take an extra day and stay over. And
Mm-hmm.
then spend that time either, I may have planned something, but for this particular time, I sat in the hotel and I prayed. And then I
Mm.
said, "What do you want me to do in this space?" And so he then just started speaking to me. And I said, we've done a survey because I was asked by my director. One time he said, what is it about every team you get? They are high performing and they care about the work, but they care about you. What do
Wow.
you He said, because I'm jealous. And I said, come on, you're a wonderful leader and you lead by example. And I think that's what I'm following. He said, no, you're doing something different, Lisa. He said,
Mm,
we put a new team with you every single year. How is it that every single year your team still outperforms? And then I said, Mick, why don't we go around and ask them, even the ones who have gone on, who are in positions equal to yours and who are all over the world now. My
mm.
team members are everywhere. Why don't we just
Wow.
start asking them? You can ask whomever you choose. It doesn't matter to me. And we did. We came back together and realized the throughput was you care. You
Mm,
care. And he said, Lisa, I got that from so many of your team members that you care about them. He said, so they don't want to disappoint you. I said, I've heard that too. And I said, it's
mm,
not about disappointing me. It's not, just don't disappoint yourself. Now, let's be clear. Do everyone care about me or think that I don't? There's people who don't feel that I care about them, especially
hmm.
when I have to hold them accountable. Have
Yes,
those conversations and help them see what their next is, if you know what I mean.
that's
Okay.
great.
That means you're sitting before me. This is not personal, but this is no longer working. But
Mm,
Tanya, another thing in being the chief caring officer, I care enough about your success that the day you walk in the door, I am having a conversation with you that lets you know my expectations. It's
mm.
letting what you can expect from me, what you can expect from your team members, but it's also letting you know what I expect from you. And I always let them know this, and I leave them with this. Please let me know when this is no longer working for you before I let you know. Because
That's
by the time I let you know is our last conversation, because that means I'm opportunity. I am going to do what I can to help you get the training and the resources that you need. We're going to be doing that all throughout your journey. I promise you,
mm.
we're going to do that. But by the time I have to have that conversation with you, you do know that we are parting ways. And
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh.
but just let me know before I let you know, okay? Before you're ready. And those are the conversations I have up front. And there's another part of that CARE acronym. Cultivating authentic relationships is one thing in I Care Leadership, but then it's also me having direct communication with team members and allowing them to have that with me. It's
Mm,
holding people accountable. Okay, but it's also recognizing and rewarding people for their great work and their excellence. And it's also leading by example and empowering them to their next. I
that,
tell my leaders all the time, you should not be looking at the same faces year after year unless they choose to be here. But what are you doing
mm,
to help them move to their next? What are
that,
you doing to help them forward? What are you pouring? How are you pouring into them? So Tanya, sitting in that hotel, I then sat down and I said, Lord, that throughput was that I care. And I said, I do care. He said, you do. I said, so what does that really mean? What am I doing in that caring? And then he said, you're cultivating those relationships. And I say, yes, and they're authentic. So cultivating authentic relationships to empower and to lead by example. I said, there it is, Lord.
that,
I care. And then the small I was just to play on the whole iPhone and I care. And not only that, but the fact that I am important in this, but I am not the most important. They are.
mm,
When I look at them, yes, a leader should know the way, go the way, and show the way. But that little small play on I care, not that I'm
mm-mm.
egotistical, of course, I would have been the biggest thing in my logo, okay, but it's not. It's that small dot I, and then cultivating those authentic relationships to empower people and to move them forward. And I know empowerment can be a broad sense, but I've just explained what I mean by that. Is
Yes,
that I'm going to give you the tools that you need to be successful if you allow me to partner with you. I said,
that's
but if you
awesome.
don't, I'm fine. Yeah,
Amen. That's awesome. I
thank
love
you.
it. So, a lot of leaders think compassion and high performance are opposites. Why do you believe compassionate culture is actually the catalyst for organizational success?
They are truly hand in hand. Listen, they're not opposites. They
Mm,
will never be opposites. They are actually partners. And once
mm,
I realized that compassionate caring, and then I saw the performance, okay, I realized they're partners. But not only that, I'm creating a safe place for each of my team members too. They have psychological safety, okay? So that they're in a safe space. They're respected, they're supported. And I hold their leaders accountable for doing that because every level that I go is one thing when I'm a first line supervisor, But to some people, I'm a second and I'm a third line supervisor. I make sure that everyone, if you're in the mail room, okay, from the mail room to the person that is, the team members that are, right at the first level from me, I
Mm-hmm.
let the workers know that this brand of mine, this brand for this section, I am the one who leads that, but I will not have anyone come in the way of it. I
Mm.
do believe we can have them both. And it takes a while sometimes in new environments for people to see that compassionate caring can work. And a lot of times I'm bringing my leaders in with their team members that they're having some issues with. If I see email traffic and I'm copied on it at my level, and
Yes.
I employees going back and forth with their supervisors,
Mm.
now let's come into my office and we're getting ready to have a conversation about this because I don't want to see back and forth in the email traffic. Absolutely not. I
That's
want
good.
I want to see communication, but I need to understand why this employee feels that, they need to go back and forth with you. But then here's some things that I am seeing too, that they are giving you answers. You're not liking that, but you're not explaining to them why you're not.
Wow.
So they're them both together and I say, I see the conversations that's going on. And I'm concerned about a couple of things. Why don't you guys have that conversation in front of me? And then what I'd like to do is, if you don't mind, can I interject where I feel that maybe one of you are going off course so that we can get this to where you guys are meeting each other where you are, but having a clear understanding that the message you are sending is being properly received so that we could come to a mutual ground. Can we do that? And we have that conversation and then I'll stop and say pause. And then I'll say, I believe what I heard this person say is this. Is that what you meant? Yes. There are just times people are having a hard time getting their thoughts out and getting articulated. Now, Tanya, they have the benefit of me being a minister. They have the benefit of me being a professional counselor. They
Mm-hmm.
have the benefit of me being a certified coach as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that I am bringing them in and having that coaching conversation. So I'm wearing all of my hats and I shift them where I need to.
Mm. I
So
love it.
people, they'll
We
work
have,
hard, but they need to know that they matter.
that's
People
it.
need they matter. They come to work as mom, as papa, as grandpa. Me, I love my nieces and nephews. I come as TT. I come as
Mm-hmm.
auntie. Anything happening with my nieces and nephews, if something happens, I know that's going to be a hard place for me. I'm going to have to check that and make sure I'm looking at them as they're my children. Okay. So
Yes.
people come to work like that. And I have stories upon stories about how people have come to work and I've seen people just throw them away, but
Mm.
not realizing that they just need someone to know that they care.
Yes.
And say their name. Dale Carnegie teaches us, say a person's name. When you
Mm-hmm.
walk past, don't just say good morning, good morning, good morning. Say good morning, Tanya. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Shelby. Good morning, Jessica. Say their name because there's no other word than people love to hear than their name. And
Yes.
that's what Carnegie has taught us in our leadership courses.
That's beautiful. The Bible says a great name is rather to be chosen than
Come on.
great riches. And when somebody call your name, it just makes you feel special.
It says, I see you. I,
Yes.
yes, you perform. And yes, I love the work that you do and you're working very hard at it. But I see you. I see
Yes.
the whole person,
That's
head
beautiful.
and heart.
That's
We can't
beautiful.
for the hands and the head leaders without trying to touch the heart of the people that we work with and that we serve.
Oh,
We
this
can't.
is so good. I love it. This is beautiful, Lisa, because we have a lot of people that are in leadership that watch the podcast. So you helping the people on the day. So you teach leaders to lead well, look well, live well, and love well. Which one do most high achieving women neglect first and why?
Living well.
Mm.
Living well is the one that they neglect the most. Okay. Because and I have to be a witness to this as well. When you care about others, and again, you have to set boundaries.
Yes.
You set boundaries and know what your limitations are. You
Mm.
have that there are things that I don't allow in my space. So I don't
Mm.
allow messiness in my space. I don't allow people who would disrupt my peace. I
Mm.
allow gossip. the young man wanted to come and he said, hey, did you hear? And then he wanted to gossip about someone. And then I said, come here. I said, you're a leader. I said, you're another leader and that's your colleague. And then I said, did that person tell you that themselves? And
Mm.
then they said, no, they didn't. And then I said, then what right do you have to share that with others?
Woo! Come
And
on, accountability.
I'm glad that you came to me. It was meant for you to come to me. I don't believe you came to me because you felt comfortable that I would speak, about this person to you. I think you were led to come to me because you knew that because the Lord knew that I would course correct you.
Wow.
So moving forward, please don't share anyone's business that they didn't share with you. And if they shared it, then they felt that you've earned the right to know it. But then you ask their permission if you can share it more.
Mm.
Okay. So then what do you think? They will never come to me with gossip again or
Mm.
attempt to me with gossip. The Lord will send those people that he knows that need some loving correction and accountability and move forward. But
Yes.
no circumstances should you have that conversation, and you definitely shouldn't have it. I'm glad you attempted to have it with me. Okay, you attempted. Now, of course, do I know everything about this situation that this person was talking about? Yes, because I've ministered this person through it, but it's none of their business.
Mm.
None.
Beautiful.
Confidentiality is everything. So living well is where we have to set boundaries. And here's another thing. Leaders will pour so much in their busyness. And I had one of my leaders, busy, busy, busy. I said, your team members are hurting because they said that you are too busy to talk to them. Well, all they got to do is just keep up. I said, mm-mm. Nope, nope, nope. You stop wearing busyness as a badge of honor.
Mm.
Stop burnout as a badge of honor, because at the end of the day, you are exhausted. And then
Yes.
you stay here 2 and 3 hours at the end of the day because you're busy. Busy doing what? I
Wow.
need you to be focused. And then I talked to another leader just the other day, and he looks like he's wasting away in front of me. So
Mm.
he came to my suite, and I said, "Hi, good morning." I said, "You're looking differently." He said, "Yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired." I said, "When was the last time you've been to the doctor?" He said, "I haven't been." I said, "Do you know what's going on with you internally?" He said, "I don't, but my wife wants me to go." And then he said, "Funny you should mention that." I said, "Providential that I mentioned that." I
Yes.
said, "Let me make the appointment." I said, "Why don't we do better?" I turned my calendar around. I said, "Which day are you going to put that appointment for?" And he looked at the calendar. He said, "I haven't looked at a calendar for me in a long time." I said, "It's time to do that."
Mm.
So living well, leaders are not understanding their boundaries. Here's another thing about living well.
Mm-hmm.
No is a complete sentence. I'm the
Mm.
caring, but I also know that no is a complete sentence.
Yes, it
No,
is.
K-N-O-W, when to say N-O.
Okay. Say that again.
K-N-O-W, when to say N-O. Know when to say no.
Wow.
Yes, and it's okay. And do it unapologetically. Put people on notice and
Yes.
stop for permission to live well, to look well, to lead well, to love well. Love yourself first. And here's another thing that I see it, because people want an example of they want to see an example of you living your life well.
Mm.
They don't want you living from your exhaustion. They don't
Ooh.
want to see from your burnout.
Mm.
And I tell them time, we need your brilliance, not your burnout.
Wow.
So busyness is not a badge of honor to me. It just says you have not set boundaries.
Wow.
Time for
This
you to
is phenomenal.
set boundaries.
Walk us through the acronym SUCCESS. What does self-care actually mean for women who used to be in the strong one for everybody
Yes.
else? Was
This
that
is a
you at one
framework
time?
that this is a framework that I absolutely love. It's a self-care framework, and it's part of the coaching program as well. We go through this, but we spend time on each of them. So the S, self-care, whatever that means for you. And some people just need sometimes example. I will say, what have you not done that you used to do that you love so much? And one person told me one time, they said, I haven't been to a museum and I don't know when. And I said, why? I just can't put it in my schedule. I said, but they're the same 24 hours in a day, right? I said, so you can't put it in your schedule, you won't.
Mm.
I make them answer that. They said, I won't put it in my schedule. And I said, why? Because I've allowed other things to just overpower that. And they're thinking about an answer while they're trying to give it. And I said, when will you then take the time to go and see that museum? They said, I'm going to do it now. Let's turn the calendar. Well, what day? Okay. So you keep holding people accountable to actually writing it down and doing that. So whatever self-care means to you, going to get a pedi and a manicure, but you're not taking anyone with you. You're not taking the children with you. You're
Yes.
not of that. Okay. No. And then what about going to a movie? And have you done that by yourself or calling a girlfriend that you haven't called and say, well, you know what? Can you just meet me at this cafe? And can we just have tea together? And if
Mm.
going to do something for you, if that's a girlfriend that you know that will just bring you to life, like, just
Yes.
really do that, do have that. Whatever it takes. If you haven't planned that trip, you don't always have to leave. Tanya, I took it upon myself one time when I was trying to set these boundaries and wanting to know what those boundaries were.
Mm.
I scheduled one day per month in a hotel, and that would be my treat to me. I
Mm.
would go to my favorite restaurant or I would eat at the hotel, but it had to be a nice stay. Okay.
Yes.
And I would do that for myself once a month. When COVID hit and then all of those things were happening, I kind of got out of that habit. But from time to time, pick a hotel and not in your city, not in your area. Make it feel as if you're going away. And being there in Michigan, oh my goodness, are there not many places you can
It's not.
to
Yes.
make you feel that you're away? You can go to Benton Harbor, then you can be on the
Yes.
water. You can just
Traverse
drive,
City.
grab Traverse City, do it for a day.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
get away and stay in a different hotel. So the you update yourself on your numbers. Do you know how much you weigh?
Mm.
Do you know what your blood pressure is? Do
Ooh.
you know what A1C levels are? Do you know even your blood type? Do you know how many
Mm.
people don't know their blood type,
I
Tanya?
do. I believe that.
Yeah,
Wow.
they don't know their blood type. So I ask people to update themselves on their numbers. And then the first C, know your core community. Who is in your core? Who has earned the right? And I have a whole system of framework on core, CORE.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, and I won't go into that here, but
Okay.
who's in your core circle? Who has earned the right to remain in your immediate circle? Okay.
Mm.
Who earned that right? But who are those people that you need to move now to the another layer where they
Mm.
know have earned that right to be in your immediate space?
Ooh, that's good.
And you have outgrown them. Okay? They have shown that you are no longer safe for them to
Ooh.
you are no longer safe for them to be in the space. And maybe they're not safe to be in that space either, but we know because we create safe space. But
That's right.
particularly you are no longer safe with them being in your core. Who
Mm.
are those people? And the number one person you should have in that core circle is your medical team.
Mm.
Your doctor should be the number one person in that core circle because that's the person who's going to help you live well. Do you
Wow.
know I have a great relationship with my doctors, Tanya, in Michigan? When I was in Michigan, I had their personal cell phone numbers. I can call them. I was hospitalized in another state and I called my gastroenterologist and she walked through my procedure. She said, do not allow them to do surgery. She said, I will get all of your records and I will walk them through how to care for you. She did that.
Mm.
I left that hospital in
Yes.
Atlanta. I don't know where you found her, but my goodness, she is now my mentor. She said, now I unlock
That
your
is awesome.
yes. And people are afraid to speak with their doctors as if they are just another friend or a human being, but they are. They're human. Okay. And they care about you. But if you have one that's not caring and don't care about you, and you don't have one that you feel that you can have that conversation with, and you're not trying to be buddy, no, but you want someone that you can rely on and depend on
Yes.
and be able to listen to you and what you have to say. There are times when I tell the doctor, I said, please don't just go to that pad or your computer and write a prescription for me. Absolutely not. But what is a holistic way that we can get to the same results? What
Mm.
are things that I can eat? What are some supplements that I can take? What are some things that I need to stop doing? What are some things I need to start doing? And
Wow.
things that I need to continue doing. These are the conversations that I have with my doctor. So just so that you'll know really quickly, I
Mm-hmm.
doctor one day with a lab coat over my arm. I would never disrespect the doctors by wearing it because they've gone through a lot and I respect them for that. but I am your patient and I am your partner in your health. This is why I have this on, because if I have to bring this to my appointment every single time so that you will know that you are a partner and I am a partner in my health, then I will do this just so that you will be on notice. That means that everything that's going on with me, we will discuss it, but you will not speak at me. You will speak with me. And
Wow.
conversation. So all of that came about with, going through stage 3 cervical cancer. Okay. And that's where that came through. So Tanya, so that first C, that second C in success is calendar yourself. Put yourself on the calendar. Do not have more thought and more passion about someone else's calendar than you do about your own. So
Okay.
schedule that time where you're just going to have self-reflection time. Schedule that
Mm,
time going to journal. Schedule that time where you are just going to be off the radar for everyone and everything else. Whatever you need to put on the calendar for you, calendar yourself. That E. Lead by example and not by your exhaustion. People
ooh,
are leaders who they can depend on. They are not caring about your busyness because what you're doing is setting a poor example. Please do that. And I know I've mentioned that before. And then the second S in that success is shift. Just make a slight shift in your mindset.
mm,
Shift so that you will know, do the smallest things. One person said, I wish I would drink more water. And I said, oh, this is so, simple in my mind to me about this shift. I said, I'm going to give them something so simple. I said, how many cups of coffee do you drink a day? They said, oh my gosh, probably 5, 6, 7. I said, are you willing to just take one of those cups of coffee and trade it for a bottle of water? Or instead of putting coffee in that cup, will you just fill it with water and drink it? They said, that's an easy shift. I could do that, Lisa. And then I
mm.
said, that. Now these people are drinking bottled water, now having case of water in their office. But it starts with a small shift. And Tanya, sometimes it's not, we make it complicated. And it's
Yes.
not complicated. I tell people, I said, there are exercises that you can do at the sink while you're brushing your teeth. Tanya,
Mm,
a series of leg lifts while I'm brushing my teeth. It takes me 2 to 3 minutes to
mm.
brush my teeth. So I'm doing 30 side kicks from one side, 30 side kicks on another. I then do knee lifts. Okay. And then I do several exercises while I'm brushing my teeth.
Well, I'm gonna have to implement this.
We have to brush our teeth every day, right? I, I would hope, right? I would hope
Yes. Yes.
to do so. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're folding clothes. I said, okay, do some other things. I have one girlfriend, she said, when I go to the restroom, I drop and do 10 squats every
Mm.
time. So she said, Lisa, so by the time I leave work, by the end of the day, I have done about 50 squats. I said,
Wow.
we make excuses when all we have to do is make the shift. And then some
Mm.
people say, well, I'm going to start in January. Fine. Just make today January. So that last S is start today. Make today your January 1st.
That's
That's
good.
all.
That's good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the toothbrushing one,
Yes.
and I'm making the shift for January 1st
Today.
tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow. Yeah. January 1st. No, January 1st does not have to be when the calendar says it.
That's
It's when
right.
decide to make that shift. And January 1st starts for you, June 26th to whatever that date is. Yes.
Wow. This is phenomenal. You are helping me so much. So I
You're
want to
welcome.
shift a little bit and go into your health journey. You faced a stage 3 cervical health crisis and released over 200 pounds. Can you take us back to the moment you knew something had to change?
With the cancer diagnosis, Tanya, I had no symptoms.
Mm.
None. January started off like any other year, and February, our mother had a mini stroke. She did. So when she went through her journey with that and being rehabilitated, I realized once she came home in April, which is wonderful because her birthday, my birthday, your birthday, okay, and then just before Mother's Day, I then said, Lord, I have not had that yearly appointment. And ladies, that yearly appointment that we go to, we dread, but we must keep. I went to that appointment and I said, okay, now that my mother is home and I still need to care about me. I need to, because I poured so much care into her care that I had to take a moment and say, you haven't had that appointment. Your birthday is coming. It's time for that appointment. I had that appointment. My doctor then told me to come into her office. She's only told me to come into her office one other time.
Mm,
And then I said, for her to tell me to come in, something's going on. I said, what's going on? She said, come into my office. And she said, your test came back abnormal. And I said, what does that mean? She said, it can mean a number of things, but we want to rule out everything and know exactly what it is. So I'm going to have you see an OBGYN. And I said, okay, I'll go see that OBGYN. I made that appointment and went. The OBGYN did her, what she had to do. She said, get cleaned up and come in my office. And I said,
mm,
doctor, what do you see? Do you see cancer? Out of nowhere. I just
mm,
said, and I don't know why I said that. And she said, it's not that we could see cancer, but she said, I want to make sure.
mm,
And so I went to her office. She said, I'm going to have you see a gynecologic oncologist. And I said, well, I know what an oncologist is. That's cancer. And I asked you, do you see cancer? She said, we can't see cancer with the naked eye, Lisa. But she said, I want to make sure. I then had that appointment. I had a biopsy. And Tanya, at my job, I received a phone call 2 weeks later that said, now mind you, I had already gone back up to the doctor to say, hey, you guys have my results back yet? What's going on?
mhm,
No one had
mhm.
any results. I got a call at work, but I had already told them my doctor, my primary care physician, who I have a wonderful relationship with, will be out of town. She has made it very clear, if there's anything, do not say, tell me anything before she returns. She's returning on Wednesday, this date. Well, on Monday, I received a call and I recognized the number sort of. So I waited until my lunch break and I called, and what I heard on the other end was surgical gynecologic surgery, Providence Hospital. How may I help you? And I said, oh, they must have the wrong person. I said, excuse me, someone called me, and I went through and they told me, yes, it was you. Your surgery is scheduled for next Monday. And I said, for what? And they said, what do you mean for what? I said, no one's told me. She said, oh my God. I said, wrong words coming from a medical staff. I said, why don't we do this? I said, let's make sure that I speak with the doctor first. Miss Jones, we have to get you into surgery as soon as possible. I said, well, next Monday is not as soon as possible. Well, as soon as possible, that is a quick time. And so I said, I want to speak with the doctor. I said, what are you telling me? She said, Miss Jones, you've been diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer, papillary serous carcinoma of the cervix.
Mm,
And
mm.
she said, well, how many stages are there to this? She said, there are 4 stages. I said, how am I already in stage 3? And I have no symptoms, no irregularities, nothing stopped. I'm just living well and doing life. And so I said, you know what? Tell the doctor I want to have an appointment with him. And I am going to meet with him on Wednesday. I know that's his late day. Tell him to schedule me in. I then had one of the mothers from my church. I said, Mother Hurd, I need, and everyone needs a Mother Hurd, a praying mother from the church.
Yes. Yeah.
Said, I need you to write down all of your questions. I told her what happened. I need you to write down all of your questions. I'm going to write down all of mine. I said, will you put the list together and compare our questions, and whichever ones are duplicate, take those off, and then we'll just go into the doctor with this. I can't tell my mother this until I know. I can't tell my family. Listen to me, Tanya. I'm telling her all the people I cannot tell.
Mm,
I tell my son, he just started Cranbrook. This is his first year. He's
wow.
finishing his finals. I don't want to interrupt that. So, and you know, Cranbrook Kingswood is a boarding
Yes.
school. So
Yes.
and he won a full scholarship, $146 that I didn't have to pay, or his dad
Oh
at that.
my gosh.
Yeah, so I did call his father, and at that time we were divorced. And I called him and told him, he said, we will get through this. I'm on my way home. I said, absolutely not. I said, let's wait until we find out more. We were still very good friends. And that's a nugget for your audience out there as well.
Yes.
Okay. So he
Very
used
good
to say
friends.
husband. We were still very good friends. In fact, I buried him on my birthday in 2026. I
Wow.
mean, 2028, 2016, excuse me.
2016. Mm-hmm.
Thing. But so I went to the doctor and he told me yes. I said, I need a second opinion. I need a second opinion. We asked all our questions. He was very patient with us, told me, all about the cancer. He said, you definitely should get a second opinion. And I did. He said, once you tell them the type of cancer, he said, this is what you're going to tell them, that you have, or he said have. I always say they diagnosed me with it, okay? Because I didn't take ownership of it, but I was respectful of the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
That second one, once I saw the look in his face after he did his own independent pathological report, I had also had the University of Michigan on my list to go to as well because I did research and I had another doctor in mind for that. The look in that man's face said it all to me. He said, Miss
Wow.
Jones, and he stopped. He said, listen, it doesn't matter which doctor you get to do the surgery, but you need to have this surgery done within the next 7 to 14 days at the max.
Mm.
And he said, it's already spread to your ovaries. And then
Mm.
I said, that quickly? He said, within 2 weeks. He said, the cancer you have is very aggressive.
Aggressive. Mm.
He said, and if you can think of like a Pac-Man, he said, this is what it's doing. And once it attaches itself to your internal organs, we will not open you up. I said, that's what the other guy said. I need time.
Mm.
He said, you don't have time. I said, I need to take time.
Ooh.
Tanya then took the time I needed. I went on a 3-day fast and I didn't eat or do anything else. I just went before the Lord. And on the third day, I let out a shout that woke up the neighborhood because the
Mm.
Lord said, you shall live and not die, and this will never return again.
Woo.
I went into the ministry. And at that moment, I said, aha, that's what the enemy was after. He was after my calling. I
Yeah.
said, you have outplayed your hand now. And the fight
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
was on. The fight was on to live. Hallelujah. The fight was on to
Man.
live, to see my son graduate. So I called the doctor who originally, diagnosed me. And then I told him, I said, I am going to have the surgery. He said, great. We have you scheduled for Monday. I said, but I'm not going to have it on Monday. He said, you're not going to have it on Monday. I said, well, my son goes to camp on June 29th. He doesn't get finished with his finals. He doesn't complete his finals until June 12th. I said, so at that time, I said that it will give me enough time to speak with everyone. Okay. I said, so June 29th, he's going to camp. We've already paid for it. I don't want him to know that I'm having surgery. And then he said, Miss Jones, we can't wait that long. He said, you won't make it. In 2 weeks, I said, I know, but it won't spread anymore. I've already talked to the chief physician. He said, you gone over my head? I said, I went over all of our heads. I the physician. And he said I should live and not die. And this will never return again. And it will not spread any further. So when you go in, you're only going to see where it was and it has been contained. He said, Ms.
Mm.
Jones, you are one stubborn patient. I said, no, doc, I'm one steadfast patient. He said, why do I get the feeling I'm going to see you on June 29th? I said, because you're going to have your people schedule that surgery and I'll see you at 6 o'clock. Be ready.
My God.
I did that. But I had to fuss at him first, Tanya. I did because there was a young lady in the lobby reading a chapter in her book at Wayne State University on him because he was a professor at Wayne State and he
Mm.
also is a published author. And
Mm.
he their medical books because of how powerful he was in this area of cervical cancer. I said, there's a young lady out there now reading about you in her book. And I said, so are you going to do this surgery or not? Or do I get someone else? Do you live up to your name in that publication that is in her book? And that's when he told me, you're one stubborn patient. So, Tanya, on June 29th will be my 17th anniversary of
My
being forever
God.
free of stage 3 cervical cancer. Yes, I had that surgery on June 29th. I did.
This is so
This was
crazy.
May. Mind you, all of this started in April from the
Mm.
first diagnosis. Then the middle of May, all of these other, diagnoses came up. But I tell everyone, I trust the doctors. I appreciated the doctors for my diagnosis, but my prognosis is always going to be in God's hands. My prognosis will always
Mm.
be in God's hand. How long I live and who tells me I live, that's in God's hands, not the doctors. I respect them.
Amen. Oh.
Yeah, see where the doctors stop is where God picks up. They said I would die. Well, then now let me have my chief physician take over from where you guys have given me a death sentences. Yeah, 2 death
Mm.
sentences. So then
My God.
from the last day, the doctor was walking with me, taking my walk with me down the hall because I walked. And then Tanya, I always go in full makeup because I'm always going into the hospital on the other side of what I'm going through. And you already
Mm.
know that. I go in there with full glamour,
Yeah.
lashes and all. Okay. So and I then talked to that doctor because it's ministry. I found that doing that is ministry. Healthcare is the one place where people are not being cared for the most. And I get
Mm.
doctors that would come to my room. I would get the nurses that would come to my room to see the lady who has on makeup, to see the lady who has on lashes. And when I walk the hall, I get to pray and minister, and then they come back for ministry. So I find
Mm.
that when I've been hospitalized, I this makeup has also been a tool for ministry for others. So makeup and ministry is what I do in the hospital. Okay. That there may be priest. That a priest right there. I might need to go to the hospital
Amen.
and ask them if I come in and probably do some little makeovers and do that. But
Good.
on the way home, I told the doctor that, okay, doctor, is there anything else I need to do? I was doing some research and it says that cancer hides in fat cells. And I said, is that true? He said, yes, cancer does hide in fat cells. Tanya, at that time, I was almost 400 pounds.
Ooh.
And on the way home, I said, okay, doctor, what are some of the foods that I should eat now? What are some of the things I need to do? I said, because I'm going to increase my soy. And he said, no. And he startled me. He said, Miss Jones, he turned me, he said, look at me, no more soy. He said, you had an estrogen producing cancer. Soy produces estrogen. So all the soy you were eating, you were feeding the cancer. And I said, really? He said, so no more soy for you. And then I said, okay. And so I went home, Tanya. Everything in my cabinet has soy in it. Soy is
Wow.
engineered. Okay, it is. So, and I just said everything has soy. Even the vegetable oil that I had has soy in it. It was soybean oil was the number one. I love tofu. I was stir fried tofu. Okay,
What?
so I ate it and I was eating healthy, I thought, but my quantity and my portion sizes were still too large. So
Mm-hmm.
I ate too much. And so I had to get rid of everything in my cabinet.
Wow.
There were things I was able to give away that, I no longer, but I then had to redo everything. So now when I pick up an item, I shop from the back, not from just the front. I
What you
see it.
mean?
That means I read the labels. You have to read the labels on everything. There is even some chewing gum that has soy in it, and people don't
What?
realize. Tanya, I was using lavender to calm my headaches or put it under my nostrils and on my temples. Lavender produces estrogen. Yams produce estrogen. I love me some yams, but it produces estrogen.
Get out of here.
Eggplant produces estrogen. So you become educated. You start attending seminars and webinars and you get connected with the community who understands this and starts, you start building your community of support, from people who understand this and have gone through this and know it wasn't enough for me to come home. But before I left that doctor and I walk in the halls together, the Lord had me to ask him, what are the things that I need to no longer consume? That was
Mm.
the Holy Ghost.
Nothing
That was
but.
God. And that's when I realized everything I had in my cabinet had soy. I
Mm.
drink soy milk, I'm telling you.
Wow.
So I had to learn to eat, but really my portion sizes. So I prayed about having the bariatric sleeve procedure, and I did. And the
Mm.
Lord gave me that opportunity. I had that, but I had only released only like 69 pounds from that. But over a
Mm-hmm.
course of 10 years, I released the other weight and have released over 200 pounds.
And you look amazing, darling.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm still on that journey. I still have about 30 or 40 pounds I want to release, but I feel good. I feel good. So
Mm-mm-mm.
I understand what it is to live well, to look well. I look better. I feel better, but I had to love myself first. And again, one of the things I tell leaders is your full cup is for you. You
Mm.
serve people from your overflow because when you're depleted, you have nothing to give. So fill your cup and you serve people from your overflow.
Tell me, how does your faith show up in your coaching? Not just in the words you use, but in the way you actually lead people through transformation.
One of the things I realized with coaching, people are either coming to you because they have a conviction or they have a calling and they are not sure how to really which one it is and to manifest that. So with this going through the John Maxwell is a Christian, coach and what have you, but I wanted more in understanding that whole process too of what with my faith, allowing my faith to be upfront in my coaching because in this world and in entrepreneurship, a lot of times we feel that if we mention God too much or Jesus too much, then it will turn people away.
Mm.
And I've heard that from different mentors I've had in the business. They say, you don't want to be too churchy or preachy and what have you. And I've heard that a lot. And way to do everything. But one of the things that I said to the Lord is I am living my faith out loud. Everywhere I go, I can't tell my story without mentioning you, okay,
Amen.
my healer, my deliverer, the one who
Yes.
set me free, and the reason that I'm here today. And so when I came across Called Coach Institute, called women, and I said, these women live their faith out loud. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I tell people now, I am a Christian coach, okay, leadership development coach. I am all of my faith comes into action with that. So in doing that, I realized the people that come before me, they know what they want to do. They have a hard time understanding how to get started. Okay.
Mm.
And even in getting started, is this something that you have a passion and conviction for? Or is this just something that you feel that God has called you to do? Are you called to this? And then we go through a framework on helping people to understand where they are in this whole conviction or calling. Which one are you in that? And then from there, I walk people then through whatever their the situation is that they have come to me for. And there's a whole framework around all of that as well. So we do. I realize that there are just certain things that people are really dealing with, and most of the time they feel that they're, I know I'm called to do this, or I know, I really have this passion about, doing something, or I'm stuck here. And then why are you? Why are you stuck? And that's what a coach does. We are not, we are, I don't like to say we're nothing more, but we are your thought partners. We help you in that area of where you feel stuck to get you to pivot, to get you to move in the direction that you need to go. We're not counselors, even though I'm a trained counselor or what have you. I don't counsel and coach. I coach. They're two separate things. In California, I'm licensed. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. So I cannot legally counsel you. As a minister, I can minister with you, but in the coaching field, I'm very clear with that. I am getting you from where you are and where you are stuck to get you moved to your next and in your next direction. And I'm very good at developing and getting people into their transformation and getting them to that shift. And
Yeah.
oh, I'm so passionate about it. I do that
Yeah.
with members. I do that, when I know a lot of my supervisors and the leaders that I lead, they say, how do you do it? And I said, it's a conversation, but there is a framework. If you do it enough, it will be a natural conversation for you.
Mm.
It will. So, Tanya, yeah, so it's just that whole part of realizing that I needed to get out of that space of being obese to get to the point of where I knew that I can really be a blessing to others.
And a blessing you certainly are. Now, I
Thank
want to
you.
talk about your magnificent books that you've written, 15 best-selling books you've
Yeah.
authored. Is there a common thread or message that runs through all of them? And we're going to talk about something else once you give me this answer. Is there a common thread?
That common thread is, with prayer and leadership and healing, you're going to hear, yes, the common thread of all of that. Yep, the message is mainly, talking. I'm writing about prayer and the power of prayer. I'm writing about leadership and the power of leadership. I'm writing about, what it takes to be resilient. And when you're faced with life challenges, when you are faced with employment challenges, when you are faced with entrepreneurial challenges, it
Yes.
mainly the throughput for everything that I've written is resilience, coming out on the other side. That's that,
Beautiful.
that's the in a nutshell. It is, but doing it in faith and
Mm.
and knowing what my life purpose is. Resilience is what you're going to see in just about everything I've written.
Amen. Now you have your most recent book with you,
Actually, this is my one of my second book.
your
This is my
second book. Okay.
yes, yes,
And
courageous.
so you have been so gracious. Tell us the
Thank you.
name of that book, Lisa.
This is Fearless Women Rock, Courageous Women Finding Strength During Their Storm. And it was visionary by Dr. Missy Johnson, who's right there in Detroit, Michigan. She got together with all of us and put this book together. Let me tell you, every woman that picks up this book is going to find themselves in here. You're going
Mm.
to find yourself in here. We have one of the young ladies in here who used to be one of the original housewives, okay, Atlanta housewives. So she's in book. We have radio personalities in this book and several more people from all over the country that is in this particular book telling their story. And it goes from even human trafficking. There's a human trafficking story in there from those of us who have come through cancer, from those of us who have come through career burnout, and whether or not you need to be in that same career. We have a person who's telling their story about, being a nurse for 30 years and realized that the Lord was calling her to something totally different. And she
Mm.
changed careers, to full careers, to go from nursing to real estate, and how
Wow.
journey was for her to still it's just amazing. You're going to see all types of stories, but I also have a wonderful framework of the things that I did that was really pertinent for me going through the cancer diagnosis that I believe would be so beneficial to someone who's going through cancer. So I definitely want to offer this book to whomever you feel it would be worthy of appreciating the stories in here. I would love to autograph that and send that to your guests.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm so excited. I do have a young lady that I do want you to gift that book to, so we're going to be contacting her.
Awesome.
It's so beautiful. It's just perfect timing. God just knows. Oh my goodness. She was just recently diagnosed in February with a breast cancer diagnosis. So this is going to be a blessing to her, and I appreciate you so much for this. So we're going to be closing out, but I want to know what does it look like years from now for you to know I care, leadership did what it set out to do?
What this will look like, Tanya, oh my goodness, what this will look like in the workplaces, that the workplaces are more humane. That
Mm,
workplaces are more humane, that people are valued in their wholeness, and it's okay that we rewrite the script of, what's the professional look, what's the professional area, and all of that, but still holding to excellence. Still
mm,
hold excellence. Is it okay for that person to come in with the nose piercing, but they're the most brilliant person in their space? Because isn't that what we see now? You
yeah.
know, so it will be where women are also, and men in women. Okay, even though I speak mostly to women, but men have benefited greatly from my leadership and from my coaching. Is that we will reclaim our peace, and that we will build leaders and organizations that care, and knowing that caring is not weakness. It's not weak
Amen. That's right.
strategy. Okay, and
That's
so
good.
that help us, and we want leaders to think of themselves first. Again, I want you to have a cup in front of you. If that cup is empty, then whatever it takes to fill that cup, and until it overflows, then you then do not have anything to serve from, because that full cup is for you.
Mhm.
That full cup is for you. Caring leadership is not soft leadership. It's not weakness. But we need to be strong enough to tell the truth, hold people accountable, but also humanize, transform, and humanize the employment experience, head, hands, and heart. People need to know that when they walk in that door, they are not going to be berated, that
Mm,
they're not going to be treated as just for what they can produce and not for the person whom they are. It's okay to have compassionate caring. It's okay to give an employee, a card when their
mhm.
loved one dies, or, transitions. It's okay to do that.
That's
It's
beautiful.
okay to pull them to the side and say, what are your career goals? How can I help you get to your next? It's okay to
Mm,
pull them to the side and say, here are some things that we see that you need to improve. What can we do to help you? It's okay to get in their space and get to know who they are. Now, am I saying that you should go home with them and associate with them after work? I don't do any of that.
mm,
Okay. My team members have me on lock like that, where I am at an event after work and all of, no, I'm not. But they
mm.
know that while I'm there, I care. Now, if you are getting married and you invite me to the wedding, of course I may come. But I'm not that leader that hangs out with my team members to show that I care. No, I am treating you as a human being while you're there, showing value to you. And I am doing everything in my space to help my leaders to help me transform and humanize that employment experience, head, hands, and heart. And it's not just in the leaders, it's in the employees as well. If your coworker has done something very nice and you are appreciative of what they've done, give them a shout out. Let
Yes.
supervisors know and let everyone else know. Hey, I appreciate Tanya. She helped me with this case and I was stuck on it. She did this, she did that. It then becomes normal. And let me tell you, in my section, in my area of all the teams that I have leadership over, they all do it. They sing each other praises and it is amazing, but they will call each other out as well when things
Mm.
are right, but they won't do it publicly because they know I won't allow that. But
Oh,
I have
good.
seen them go to their team members and hold them accountable. That's what we want.
That's
That's
it.
what we want. And that it is okay to do it because they know they're doing it out of care. They know they're doing it out of love. And they know they're doing it because they want their section to remain excellent. Okay. And we're not going to
Absolutely.
have anyone to come in the way of it. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this has been I have learned so much, Lisa. I have learned so much today, and I am going to be implementing the success platform. Also, I want my viewers to be able to get in contact with you. How
Sure.
can we get in contact with Dr. Lisa Jones?
I'm on Facebook, Lisa Yvette, Yvette Jones. I am on Instagram as well. And so those are my main two platforms. I do have a YouTube channel and I do have LinkedIn. So I think I'm going to get more involved with those other two. Okay. But Facebook and Instagram is where you'll find is where I find most of my audience.
And where can we get your books?
You can contact me at
Okay.
LisaJones at gmail.com.
Okay.
LisaJones at gmail.com. Or you can contact me at 248-397-5227. That's 248-397-5227. And
And
you
you
can
all see that
get
information on the screen, so we will definitely be in contact with Dr. Lisa Yvette Jones. Lisa, this has been everything today.
thank
I
you. Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much for being on, giving them something to talk about. I know you have been blessed with this episode, and we're going to get in contact with her and to the person who we have the book. She has the book for. I will be contacting you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Giving Them Something to Talk About.
Yes.
We will be in touch, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless.
Bye. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much.